So, somebody recently requested, what was it? I think calming boom bap is what they asked for. So that's gonna be what I have in mind going forward. Who knows if it'll stay that way the entire time, but that's kind of, that's my starting point. And so what I've done is I've pulled my BPM down to 160. For boom bap, I normally like to go a little bit faster, like in the 170s, 180s. But because they asked for calming, I decided to make it a little bit slower than I normally would. So I'm not really looking for the types of vibes that I'm getting from these, other loops that I've made previously for other, other songs. I'm going to make it from scratch, I think. So let's start with the kick. This might work, maybe. Like I normally kind of follow the same sort of logic when I'm making them, and I think I want to shake things up a little bit. So I'm going to make it like kind of change and be different constantly, which is it might sound weird and it may work. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm going to copy this over, but then I'm going to start changing it over here. So now I'm going to have 2 hits. So dun dun clap. And then instead of just 1, we can do a little ba-dum thing, but like without the second part. Maybe we can do... kind of want to leave this open here and then maybe do this. So and then it'll hit at the same time as a clap here, but I think that's what I want at the end, because that's... See what I mean? Like it's never exactly the same, but there is kind of a pattern at the same times. So like, I don't know, it's kind of cool. And I might keep doing that. So let me make the snare the same kind of throughout, and then I can play with the kicks. Okay, so I'm going to copy this over, but then I'm going to make it different even still. Maybe... yeah, so it just kind of gets strange and different as it goes. So like it kind of starts off pretty tame, and then it just gets more complex. And not only does it get more complex, but like it's never exactly the same, which isn't usually what you want with a kick. Normally, well, at least that's not normally what I want with a kick. Normally, I want some level of consistency, and there is a little bit of consistency with this. Like I said, I have things on the 1 consistently. I have a kick on the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7. It's the stuff in between that's changing. But typically, I don't change it this much. I'll have like a pattern go for like 4 bars, and then I'll repeat that throughout, or maybe I'll have it change a little bit in the second half, and then I'll, repeat that, but it's not normally changing this often, so it's a little bit different. Okay, so let's add a hi-hat. So we could have this, but that's pretty predictable. So... ooh, actually, hang on. Maybe we do want predictable for this one, and we make like a second pattern hit on like the offbeats, like I just had that. So let's make this one the way it is, and keep it simple, and just kind of bring down the velocity of every other one, and then just copy that. So there's some consistency there. And then I'll add another like texture. It'll be hitting like on the offbeats. Move it over, kind of. So hold Control Shift and then the right arrow, and you can just move everything over. And then I think I'll do the same thing. I think I'll highlight every other one, and I'll lower the velocity, and then copy it over. So I guess because my kick is consistently changing, I think I want my other drum instruments to kind of be more consistent, so that I do have some consistency. That way it's not just everything all over the place. And I think I have this like backwards from how I want it. So I'm going to take these and shift them over. So where is it? Right there, like this. And then I'll just copy this one over. Get rid of that. So now I think it'll sound the way I want it. Okay, and I'm gonna take the high end off of like everything because I want it to almost kind of sound lo-fi-ish and kind of dark. When I make the melody though, I might go like kind of jazzy if I can figure out a jazz melody. I'm not very good at jazz, if I'm being honest. I've only ever attempted it a couple of times. And then I have that one other video that I put up on April 1st. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of experience with jazz, but I might try it here. And then I believe, somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, to kind of give it a jazzy sound, what I've noticed is if you see in any scale, the notes that are highlighted are these, right? Okay, these are all the notes that are in the scale that I've chosen, B minor. If you also include, I think it's this note right here. So the way that I kind of figured this out is every minor key has like two sets of notes that are on top of each other like this. And if you go to the top one, the note right below that, I believe, if you include that note, it kind of gives it more of a like jazzy feel to it. Now you have to play the notes in the right way for it to sound jazzy, but I think this will work. So I'm going to include this. What note is this? F? I'm going to include the F note, I think, with this scale, and we'll see if it gives it like a jazzy kind of feel to it. This sounds terrible. Alright, I think I'm starting too complex. Let me slow my roll. Let's start with one note at a time. Let's just go. There we go. That's happy. I just need to make happy chords. Happy chords. Just make happy chords. So really, the only difference between like the first four and the second four bars are I did a couple of like inversions. So I just pitched a few of the notes up an octave, and then at the end I changed a few of the notes down here. But it's pretty much the same. So I might change a little bit more over here. So maybe I'll make some like create some more movement without changing the notes themselves. So what I mean by that is I'll keep everything the same, but then just kind of do this. So move this over like 4, and then maybe move this one over like that. Okay, 8. And then kind of do the same. Maybe we'll like leave this one, but then create movement here. Something I don't do very often is add little like flavor. There's a name for it, but I don't remember the name for it. But it's like a little like tiny mini note that occurs just before another note. And F happens to be the note that I'm using that's out of scale, so I'm going to go with F and just see how it sounds and just play it really quickly before this. So you like roll up into the note and it kind of gives it like this little bit of extra pizzazz or, you know, flavor. Yeah, something like that. Okay, let's humanize this a little bit. So I'm going to hit Control A, Alt R, and we're going to change the velocity and the release a little bit of everything. And I'm leaving everything else alone. I have bipolar checked on because I like the way that that distributes the randomness. If you don't, it does this. Everything's kind of a little bit closer together up here, whereas if you do bipolar, it kind of like shoots it up or down, I believe, instead of just going up or just going down, or however it decides how to do it. But anyway, hit accept, and then I'm going to randomize the, well, first thing I'm going to do is strum. So Alt-S strums everything, and I'm only strumming a little bit, not too much. And I'm alternating direction, so it goes up and down a little bit. And now I'm going to randomize the timing. So Alt-Q, I've got dotted eighth note selected because I like the way that that gives me results for this sort of thing. And then just kind of put this somewhere in between. I like kind of having it pointing over here where it says start time. And then I leave everything else alone and hit accept. And what we should notice, if I zoom in, is some of these notes are a little bit late now, and I also strummed, so the strumming could have also done this as well. But some of these notes have been moved back, some have been moved forwards, some are right on top of each other and haven't been moved at all, so I'm going to hit strum again just in case some are on top of each other. So yeah, so now the notes have kind of been pushed and pulled forwards and backwards a little bit, both from the strumming and from the quantization on the dotted eighth note grid. So let's listen to it now. And now I'm going to pan some of the lower notes on the downbeats. So the 1, the 3, 5, 7. Maybe something like this. Okay, and this instrument itself doesn't sound very good to me. A bunch of effects and like wash it out a whole bunch. So the first thing I'm going to do is put reverb on it. And we're going to take off a lot of the dry signal, but mix it back so it's not quite as soft as it might be otherwise. And then we're going to do some chorus, some flanger, and I'll do the same thing with the flanger. I'll take off a lot of the dry signal, but then I'll mix it in back. And it seems silly to EQ it this much after I've done all this effort to make it sound a certain way, but this is to push it even further back so that it's not really competing with the piano. It's just kind of like helping the piano. Which I'm going to use some vinyl noise. I'm going to put way too much on it to start. And I'll mix it back. Put some wobble on it so it sounds a little off. It's a little out of key, slightly. Okay, so since I've EQ'd this piano so much, it's kind of lost some body, and it feels like it's been pushed back as well, which is not automatically a bad thing, but I don't know that I would necessarily want it to just be in the back. So I might layer another piano on top, something simpler. I will likely do some more stuff to this. I'll process everything, I'll mix and master things, I'll arrange stuff, and I'll likely add other sounds as well. But for the purposes of this video, this is basically it. So let's listen back to it.